Huge parts of this country, as you already know, are breathtakingly beautiful. Yellowstone, Big Sur, Yosemite, the vast forests of Maine. Places like that are what make this a great country. If being an environmentalist means anything, it means protecting those places and countless others across this continental nation, keeping them clean and protected. So how are professional environmentalists doing with that? Well, we know this week the federal government is shut down, and that means the National Park Service is not cleaning up in our national parks. That means that trash is piling up. That is an environmental crisis. So we wanted to know how our environmental watchdogs were responding to it, so we contacted this country's 4 biggest environmental groups to see what they were doing about it. The Sierra Club, the Nature Conservancy, the Environmental Defense Fund, and the National Natural Resources Defense Council. Go to their websites, they'll tell you how they're protecting the soil and water. By the way, they raise a lot of money on those claims. Combined, these 4 groups have an annual revenue of well over $1 billion. Over the Nature Conservancy, their endowment is over $6 billion. So they could easily help. Picking up trash is not expensive. They're certainly rich enough to do that. Are they doing it? We called today to find out. None of them even responded. And that, of course, means no, they're not doing it. They're not helping. Now, that may be sad to those of you who grew up sending money to the Sierra Club, which used to concern itself with our physical environment and did virtuous work. But if you've been paying attention for the past 10 years, you shouldn't be surprised. Actual garbage that's ruining nature? Well, that seems small in importance compared to, I don't know, promoting carbon taxes or unlimited immigration or gender theory or the various other priorities of the Democratic Party, which is what these groups spend their time and money doing. And by the way, that's fine. Lots of groups in Washington do those exact things. They're political consultants. That's their job. But at least they're honorable enough to pretend they're not protecting the environment. So these groups may not care anymore about picking up garbage, but they do like the idea of controlling your behavior. Across America, scolds are stamping out plastic straws. They're already banned here in Washington, but it won't stop with straws. Think it will? Ha! Some groups are promoting taxes on meat. They're doing this in the name of promoting health and fighting climate change. Of course, these taxes would have the added benefit of punishing you. Mark Stein is an author and columnist. He joins us tonight. So it does. Am I sensing a theme here, Mark, where a certain sort of upper-income person doesn't feel content until he's really taken away all the small comforts of those below him?
Absolutely. The councilman in Santa Barbara, where they introduced one of these bans on plastic straws, said we have to regulate. We can't trust to common sense anymore. We have to regulate every aspect of people's lives. And after he got a bit of pushback on Twitter or whatever, he kind of walked that back. But it's true. And it's actually the inverse of what you were talking about with Heather just now, that the less anybody notices the vast amount of human rubble piling up around us, and the more we're prevented from talking about anything that matters, the more all the clever people in our society obsess on peripheral things like plastic straws.
It's just so interesting, though, that all of it is aimed downward at people they believe are their social inferiors. I can't remember the last time the Sierra Club went after the government of China. Some of these groups are taking money from the government of China, or went after Al Gore for flying privately, or went after private airports, the FBOs across the country. Why is it always aimed at people who make less than they do?
Well, I think it's because it is the pleasure it affords the elites at actually regulating the masses. You mentioned China. Supposedly we ban straws because straws are polluting the oceans.
Right.
As you mentioned, 8 countries in Asia are responsible for 2/3 of the plastic waste that goes into the oceans, which means that 192 countries or thereabouts are responsible for the other third. And America contributes less to plastic waste in the oceans than Morocco or Burma or even North Korea. And I don't even know what they got to throw in the oceans in North Korea.
Not much.
Because that's not a consumer society. But this is unglamorous work. Just as the most important aspect of human health care is hygiene, the most important aspect of environmental health care is garbage disposal. If instead of the Paris Climate Accord, the nations of the world got together and decided to raise these Asian countries' level of trash disposal to Euro-American standards, you would have a much better... But if you say to the Sierra Club, do you want to be running on better garbage disposal, it's not glamorous enough for them.
It's just, on the meat tax very quickly, it just seems like this will only affect people who like burgers. And why, all the problems that people in that income range have, why hassle them? Is global warming really their fault?
Well, if we didn't eat burgers, we wouldn't have cows, and they take bovine flatulence more seriously than illegal immigration or anything else. I mean, the European Union was proposing offsets on that because the Irish Holstein emits less than the Bulgar Jersey. So they were actually going to be having offsets in that particular sphere in the European Union. I mean, as I said, the less we talk about anything that matters, the more we obsess on these boutique niche issues.
That's such a deep point, as most of your points are. Mark Stein, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.
Oh, it is finally here after a week. Final exam. Can you beat